Okay, before the break we were looking at a movie called The Wizard of Oz. Once again, full disclosure of what was going to happen from 1933 on was where they took away the gold standard from us. They took the gold off every person, they even took it out of their teeth, and they took the gold away from everyone. And it was explained in that movie, The Wizard of Oz, ounces, gold, that from this stage forward, all we would have as a medium of exchange would be paper. So everything is paper. And when you know how to deal with paper, different things happen. So they created the straw man from the dead placenta. The placenta, when the placenta died, the doctor puts his stethoscope on the placenta and says there is no sign of life. From two living beings within the womb of mum, one lives and one dies. But if you remember 9/11, go look at Romans 9/11. Those of you who watched Billy's Basics will know this, and I don't take the piss out of anyone.
Which
anyone.
version of the Bible is the best, by the way?
I told you, I told you it's just a code book, and when you go directly, you get given the direct answers. You've got to be careful what you ask for, because I asked once and I had an out-of-body experience. And that's what really, totally turned me from a corporate animal into a spiritual being. Okay, so fifth dimension is only a state between the ears. Now, a lot of you are getting up to that fifth dimension stage, and that's what they're worried about. The moment you get up to that fifth dimension, you have a built-in bullshit meter. You can see straight through them. But don't believe a word I say. Go directly to source. Not what is tomato sauce, but directly to source. Okay, so when the placenta died, they issued a birth certificate. How did we spell it? B-E-R? Birth certificate for the dead placenta, which became the crown. The birth certificate is under administration. It has a different date to the born date. You've seen it on your license. And if you want to prove this to yourself, go online and look up your QSIP number, and you'll find that every number that you have been given, do your own research, Kath. QSIP number, some call it CUSIP, call it what you want, it's just information. But your license, your printout, your birth certificate, your passports, everything has a number, and they're all trading. The last time I looked at my birth certificate, there was 5 billion in there. Oh, yours will probably be a lot more. I write bonds, and so I've used. I'm very generous with my bonds. A lot of people don't realise what happened back in about 2013. Around about 2013, or no, it might have been later than that, I can't remember, but Len Brown was the Mayor of Auckland, and he wanted to do the Central Rail link, and John Key wouldn't give him the money. So me being the generous person that I am, I wrote him a bond for 500 million. About 3 months later in the paper, there was a small article, Len Brown can now start the Central Rail link. He's been given 500 million. So, okay.
And he spent all the money.
If you wonder why I walk like that, I did promise a stand-up comedian show, didn't I? Yeah, yeah. There's one of my bonds. Now that goes on to the back of a birth certificate. Yeah. You forgot my name. It's Willie, not silly. Okay, but if I do anything, I do it professionally because I was an aircraft engineer. I used to keep the planes up there for Air New Zealand. So I come from a very structured background. I worked for Qantas in Australia. I used to balance the engines there. At Air New Zealand, I used to test the engines. So if you've flown Air New Zealand back then, I kept you up there. So I do everything very structured. And so if I'm going to do something like a bond or that, I do it very professionally. Just my nature, I guess. But anyway, back to the dead placenta. The Wizard of Oz explained all about the straw man because prior to the 1930s, you didn't need passports. You didn't need birth certificates. Although they kept records, most people kept the records in their own family Bible. But from the 1930s on, when they introduced... Now, if you go to the code book, which is the Bible, they tell you it's 7 times 7 times 7, so 49 years, and then in the 50th year is the Jubilee. So that went from 1883, 1933, 1983. So every 50 years, they have to bring in a new system. Now, the private companies have a habit of going into administration a couple of years after they're formed. Now, they won't go bankrupt. People say they're bankrupt. They're not. If you go bankrupt, you've got to sell off all the family jewels and form a new company. They go into administration, so they have administrators. Why do you think we still do have a chief administrator? It used to be Sean Elias. For years and years, it was Sean Elias. She was the chief judge and chief administrator. Okay, so she is administering the trust account set up in your name, which is the straw man. All those trust accounts set up in the name of the Father are being administered. Does that make it a bit clearer or not? Okay. So it's only a piece of paper, but it's under administration. When you're in a situation like this, there's so much information coming at you, and your mind's working overtime, and you will have to go through... I know when I was doing my law papers, I would have to read through something once, and I go, what the... And then I'd read through, and I remember that bit. I'd go through it again, and I'd remember a bit more. And gradually, after I'd been through it 5 or 6 times, I suddenly got the gist of it. But then I realised that there is a totally different way to look at things. So once I went from the ego world to the spiritual world, everything became a lot more clear. And so when you're still in your ego phase and you haven't risen to the 5th dimensional state, you will see things very differently. Once you move into the 5th dimensional state, you'll realise it's not about money. It's about everyone waking up, and that collective consciousness will tip this system over. So the dead placenta is what they're administering. As I said, you can go through and have a look at the QSIP numbers, and you will see how much you're earning. I'll give... You don't really need it. It's just information. Okay, I got mine. I paid, from memory, about $350 American to get a trader to give it to me. You can go online. I can show you the website online where you can get it from, but you don't really need it. It's just information. What I'm trying to get through to you is I'll give you all this information. It's just information. I've done all the hard work, and this afternoon I will show you how to write a letter where you can bat all these people out. You don't need your printouts and all that sort of thing. It's good to see them and to see the separation, but you don't need them. I've done all the hard work for you. I've dedicated over 20 years of learning this shit. Okay, so we're all clear that when the king was looking down, the jester stole his thorny crown. The courtroom was adjourned. No verdict was returned. Good old Don McLean, another... Go. Okay, that's the dead placenta. It's a fiction, it's the crown, and it is the birth certificate. So any corporation, which is a piece of paper, guys, which is a piece of paper that has agents of the crown working for it. And that's the hard part to get your head around. Some clown out here was telling me it's the Corporation of the City of London and all that sort of... all distractions. Look over here while over here the magician's doing that. Okay? They're all distractions to get you looking that way. What happened in Wellington was a distraction for what was happening up in Whangarei. So you've got to realise, once you get to the fifth dimensional state of mind, you read through all the bullshit. Has it made it clearer? Or is anyone unsure of what the crown is? Okay, just understand the crown is a piece of paper. The crown is a birth certificate, and it has an army of civil servants working for it, who are called agents. So, who's watched The Matrix? What's that about? Agents. Agent Smith. But in the new Matrix, the ladies finally step up, and it's so good to see so many ladies here. For too long you've been walking behind us, and now you're stepping up as equals. Congratulations, ladies. I could only talk to men, with the odd exception. With the odd exception. Not saying you're odd. There were a few who woke up earlier. There are others who are still arguing. But it's good to see so many ladies. One workshop I did down country, 90% women, 10% men. That was so rewarding. To finally see the ladies growing a pair.
More women are spiritual because they are the birthing spirit.
Yeah, I think they're just scaredy cats myself, but finally they're getting the balls to stand up, which is great. Love it, absolutely love it. And now it's your job to empower more people. So we're quite clear on the crown now, aren't we?
Thank you.
Otherwise, I love computers. You only punch the information in once. The whole system is run from Rome. But Rome is run from underground. Okay? So has anyone watched Men in Black? That's a documentary. It's a documentary. It's not, honestly, they're showing you that there are more than humans walking around. Some of them may be deep underground. But some of them can cloak. Some of them have masks. As a living man, we need to know, and this is the key to the whole thing, is our status. If you don't know what your status is, then you don't know your rights. And if you don't know your rights, you've got none. So what I'm going to be showing you today is our status. Now, I've already shown you, right at the beginning, who came first? Who was that cheeky little... Okay, so the status is that we are above corporations, but for some reason, we keep putting them in the place of God. They are below us. The agents, as Agent Smith will tell you, when he first started dodging the bullets, and then he learned how to stop the bullets. I'll show you that today, how to absolutely stop them in their tracks. And if you guys don't start doing this, every time you take a step back, they come 10 steps forward. So it's up to you guys. I'm empowering you to empower others to wake up and get your shit together. Okay, so we need to know our status. You've all written that down, I can see that. Yeah, I don't have to remind anyone. Who do agents act for? The Crown. Okay, now, once you understand, this is what our status is. They're only agents. And the good part I told you in the new Matrix movie, we have women agents. They're telling you the women are rising. Agents swear on the Bible to uphold statute. Now, if we know our status, and we know that they're sworn to uphold status, all we have to do is ask them a couple of questions. It's that simple. There was someone here who was going to... I'm looking for a funny hat. Oh. Okay. Someone asked me about rebutting. Oh, there you are. Spotted you. And I won't make a fool of you. No. Okay. Rebutting. Now, if you don't rebut something, then it stands as fact. Now, what they don't tell you in the courts is that an unrebutted... Do you all know about the maxims? Maxims of law? The maxims of law are... They're kind of like anything that is a law. The law of gravity. If I drop this, it's going to fall down. Okay? They're set in stone. They can't be changed. Unlike statute. Statute only belongs to a private company. The law never changes. That's why we have the maxims at law. And this one, go ask any lawyer friend why they have this after their name. LLB. Have you all seen that after a lawyer's name? You ask a lawyer, 95% of them will not know what that means. I can tell you that is a Bachelor of Law. LB, Bachelor of Law. What's the other L? They get gifted ecclesiastical. They get gifted an ecclesiastical law degree. But they get taught maybe, if they're lucky, 4 hours of ecclesiastical law. And they don't even know it. And I asked a very prominent lawyer a few months ago, a very colourful lady, 50 shades of grey, and she had no idea what the LLB was. There's quite a big difference. The canons are brought out by the Pope, okay, and they have different canons, but the ecclesiastical law is the law that the courts must uphold. Now, when you go into a court, the courts cannot see living. Why is that? Oh, it comes up later. Shut up, Val. Sorry, mate. one of my best followers. Okay, our status when someone comes in as an agent for a trust, an agent-principal relationship is developed. Okay, now under the agent-principal relationship, now I can see you all reaching for your phones and searching what principal means. Yeah. Okay, I was a real estate agent, so I know. I was a real estate agent for 20 years. Does it show? We were told we were the lowest. Principal is the highest. We must follow our principal's instructions to the letter of the law. The principal tells us what to do. So we give them an agency agreement and we promise them what we're going to do. And if we don't, we can be sued. Now, under normal circumstances, when we have a trust, okay, so when we have a trust set up in the name of the Father, or should that be Father? Everything is about they tell you, they don't hide it. Everything's a spell. They're spelling you. They're using witchcraft. They're using black magic against us. So everything's about spelling. So I do tend to wander off, don't I? The agent-principal relationship, or under normal circumstances, we have a beneficial interest in the trust. So it's good to be a Benny. But if an agent comes in, and all through the Pirates movies, they talk about this. Officers. No rating the spelling on this 9 out of 10 or any of that. Okay, so all the way through the Pirates movies, they're talking about commissioned officers. They're telling you that they get a commission if they raise money for the trust. And yet, if you go to the 1910 Secret Commissions Act, if you ask them for full disclosure, you totally wipe them out. Because under Section 5 of the Secret Commissions Act, they must disclose if they're getting a commission. So if anyone's sending you bills, not this bill, but if anyone's sending you bills, just ask them a simple question. Are you getting a commission? Oops. They're going to have to go quiet. Okay, what law overrides all law? And I actually gave this away a little bit earlier, and you're all writing it down in your books, aren't you? Yeah. Contract law overrides every law. Everything is a contract. So they brought out employment contracts and that sort of thing. Those laws, as I said earlier, the High Court pretty much exclusively... Okay, contract law overrides the law. Okay. I'm getting better with my... Hey, mate? I'm getting better with my presentations, aren't I? Okay. What they use to get us into contract is misrepresentation. Okay? They send it to the father. Now, if you go into court, you will notice that they put it up like this. So they'll have the father's name, first, and then they will have Christian. Unless you're a Jew, then you'll have a Jewish name. Or if you're Muslim, you'll have a Muslim name. No, it's not funny. That's real. You ask a Jew, what's your Christian name? My Jewish name is... Yeah. Okay, so in court, they will always have the father's name first, followed by the Christian names or given names. I prefer given names, actually. It was what your parents gave you. So they're going to use misrepresentation to get us into contract. Do you want to know how I discovered that? Sorry, someone just said, "Do you understand here?" So I'll just explain how I found that out. I found that out in 2005. Okay, back in 2005, I was watching 60 Minutes, and quite handily at my final workshop last couple of weeks ago, there were some people from Waiuku, and I said anyone from Waiuku here? Because they take 2 hours to watch 60 Minutes. But, so anyway, I was watching 60 Minutes, and there was a New Zealand author, and I honestly can't remember his name. He died you might know this. He died a couple of years ago. He took Dan Brown to court. Dan Brown wrote the Da Vinci Code. Now, the guy on 60 Minutes said to the New Zealand author, he said, "What did the judge say in his summing up?" And he said, he said to the New Zealand author, "If Dan Brown did not steal your work, it would have been a very short novel. but I must find him not guilty. And the interviewer from 60 Minutes said, what? He's admitted he's guilty. And he says, yeah. But the funny thing was, he said, that every time Dan Brown was asked a question, he said, I don't understand the question. Now, the very next day, as luck would happen, I pulled into Pukekohe and turned left at the roundabout and onto Manukau Road. And I was in my bus with a trailer on the back, and I thought, shit, my tail lights can't be on. So I leapt out, went around, tail lights are on. Okay. So I jumped back in the bus, opened the window. Good afternoon, constable.
Cut that one too.
Don't encourage me. Jeez, Anyway, he said, do you understand you just cut a car off back there? And I said, no, I don't understand. I understand. He said, when you came down the hill, what did you see? I'm just going to keep pointing to these three things here. He said, what did you see? And I said, I saw a van turning left. Did I argue? Did I agree? Did I go silent? Okay. So he says, when you came down the hill, did you see a sign? I said, yeah. And he said, what was that sign? And I said, give way. So you do understand? I said, no, I don't understand. They have 3 shots at getting you into contract. I never argued, I never agreed, and I never went silent. Ooh, let's change the subject. So he walks around in front. Your warrant's expired. Really? So innocent I am. He walks around the front. So, did I argue? Really? He walks around the front and he comes back. Your rego's expired. I said, gee, I'm getting forgetful. Walks around and has a look at the Ks. Comes back. Your Ks are 20,000 over. And I said, well, I better do something about that tomorrow, hadn't I? And he says, yes. Waved me on. Okay. 3 times the first time, 3 the second time. It's only because I had divine intervention and learnt what I understand means. Do you stand under me? So if you stand under them, they automatically have contract. But they do it in a tricky way. Dan Brown's lawyers, sorry.
How would you have answered if he had asked to see your driver's license?
Well, he didn't. But if he had, I would have said, what's the presumption? He's presuming that I have to have a driver's license. Now, a lot of people are running around, and I won't call them controlled opposition, but they keep saying, I do not consent. I didn't. Free. Yeah, the other word say is free. D-U-N-B. They operate on presumptions. They operate on the presumption that you don't know your rights. So mouthing stupid comments instead of asking questions. All you have,
Define license the same as the presumption?
sorry?
Asking him to define a license?
Well, you're going to find you get yourself into argument if you do that. Okay, so it's better to just ask them, what's the presumption? they're presuming that you don't know your rights, that you don't need a license. I haven't had a license since 2015. You saw my license there. Before that expired, I actually surrendered. Now, I'm going to give you a couple of examples here. I could never understand the phrase in the good book that said, render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's, render unto God that which is God's. And some of these things just happen to me for some reason. I'm standing in a queue waiting to go to the money machine. I pulled out my card and I'm standing there. Bang. Divine intervention. That belongs to Caesar. That belongs to Caesar. And all of a sudden it became clear what render was. So I surrendered. I'm no longer at war with them. I surrendered my passport, my driver's license, everything. I surrendered. I'm no longer at war with them. Be careful. Be careful. I know my rights. You'll get yourself into a lot of trouble if you do some of the shit that I do, because I'm a crazy bastard. And that's why I walk like that. So, I surrendered. Now, actually I might make it 3. When you come through the border, you come through customs, don't you? Whatever, mate. At some stage, you go through customs. Once again, it's an abbreviation. What for? Oops. It's an abbreviation. So you have to make a declaration. What are you supposed to declare? I can tell you, it's not a packet of cigarettes and a bottle of wine. You're supposed to declare your customary rights are intact. I declare my customary rights. Now, for any of those, all you triple vaxxed people, and soon to get your 4th one. Who are fortunate enough to travel overseas. I just asked for divine intervention and she opened the borders for me. But when you come back in and they ask you to sign that, you say, no, check my bags first. Check my bags and then I will sign. Why? Because if you find something that's not mine in there that I don't know about, by signing this, I've committed fraud. So if you wait, geez, I give you bad advice, don't I? Sorry? Yeah. Yeah. She would have been sitting on the beach. I got a real bad group over here. I've got to be careful. Luckily, they sat out of the way of all you good people over here. And, sorry, I saw it. Oh yeah.
So would that tie up with what they say? I can't really remember the actual wording on the passport. Something to do with there's a little passage in front of the passport.
Yep. I'll actually I'll bring that up after lunch. I'll go down to my car and grab that because. He's talking about in the passport, so I'll show you that. I'll show you that after after lunch, okay? Because there are ways around everything. And once again, I was doing a gold mining operation up in the Solomon Islands, and every time I came back through customs, I had a full search. Put your bag up there, and I was sound asleep. I'm a good sleeper. Man, I sleep. No one else can because I snore like a bloody... Sound asleep there, and woke up, grabbed my passport and opened it to the front page, and holy shit, my remedy was there. But I'll explain that when I actually show it to you. You know, once you actually connect, a lot is revealed to you. Okay.
I couldn't even cross the Auckland border trying to use that passport sign about the freedom to travel unhindered by order of the Queen.
They wouldn't. That's because you don't know your rights. Say, show me where it says that I can't. Okay, if our agents uphold statute, how do we get them to work for us? Okay, so...
And I am standing up. You were talking about coming through customs and they asked you to sign and you said, no, you check my luggage first.
Yep, so check my bag first.
But now they say to you, did you pack your bags? They ask you specifically, are you the one that has packed your bags? Have your bags been with you all the time?
So if anyone asks me questions, all I say is, what's the presumption? Okay? They're presuming things. They know what they're talking about, but you don't. So what's the presumption? Come on, spill the beans. I don't know.
So that works in most situations.
Yeah, look, when these people are lazy, particularly lawyers. How many lawyers in the room today? No, we had one in the last one, my final, my final workshop that I did a couple of weeks ago. But they're lazy. They don't want to work for their commission. Oh, it's gone now. They want people who don't know anything, who are just done. If you're too hard, if you know the right questions, they'll go away.
Did they require your sovereign ID or no? Did they require any form of identification? Obviously, you've got your own identification.
I don't even bother. No, I don't even bother now. No. But I know the questions. I'm not... Don't try this at home. Okay. We've gone on to the questions part. You've all got that, the next page, or... Yeah. Questions. Are you... Now this, right at the beginning, we said that we were finding our status. Now, what we're going to do here, guys, is establish our status by asking them questions. We're not going to say, I'm this, I'm that. What is that? No, it's making a claim. If you make a claim, who has to prove the claim? God, now it's sugar, is it? Oh, honey, honey. Whenever you make a claim, or whenever we make a claim, we have to prove it. So what we're going to do is ask them questions that they cannot respond to or they have to admit to. Are you an agent of the Crown? What does that do? Now yeah. We don't have to say, I'm the principal, you're the agent. By asking them that question, we have now established our status Are you an agent of the Crown establishes our status. You've got to get that clear. We're not saying you're an agent of the Crown. We're asking a question, are you an agent of the Crown? If they're an agent, then the agent principal relationship kicks in. And as I told you before, I was an agent for 20 odd years. So I knew the agent-principal relationship extremely well. So without making claims or anything, just by asking that question, we've now established that we are the principal. Do you all get that? That is the simplest and quickest way to establish our status. Oh, I've rubbed it off, haven't I? Yeah?
So the agent is the principal?
No, the agent is not the principal. So if someone came, as a real estate agent, if someone came to me to sell their house, they were the principal and they appointed me agent. Okay? Now, what is happening here is the agent is acting for the trust. They're trying to raise money for the trust. They don't know this, guys. They're not told this. All they know is that if they issue you with a traffic ticket, or with water rates, or with power bills, or anything like that, they're acting as agents for the trust or the Crown. So by asking them a simple question, you have now established the agent-principal relationship.
What if they say no to that question?
They can't.
They may not understand it.
No, they know they're agents. Now, if you think for 1 minute that Jacinda Ardern is running the country, mate, that pipe that she's on, I could tell you other stories, but they're second-hand. The people in the ivory towers, once again there was a song, and they while away the hours in the ivory towers, laugh and talk for hours in the back of a black limousine, okay? The people in the ivory towers are the ones who take their instructions from those men in black. They are the ones that run the country. The politician's job is only to sell the message to the dumb, unsuspecting. Beg your pardon?
I've got a question. So, in sort of going on with what you were saying, so if that were to happen and we did ask them, are you an agent of the Crown? And that my presumption is that they understand what that means. So,
well, I'm just getting to that. Can we have a bit of foreplay first? Okay, yeah. Little bit of foreplay and we'll get there. Okay. So what happens is it lands on a desk. I can guarantee that if you send that to the Commissioner of the Police or Jacinda Ardern or anything, it will not go to their desk. It goes to the people in the ivory towers. And they look at it and they say, holy shit, we're in deep doo-doos here, guys. Someone knows the agent-principal relationship. Now, I'll go back many years ago. You remember Dan Davis? Dan Davis came to me and he had a letter written, beautifully written. And I said, Dan, do you mind if I've always been a good letter writer. guys. And no, honestly, I'm telling you, if you want to excel at one thing, is learn how to write good letters. Okay, and that's what I'm trying to teach you today. So anyway, I said, do you mind if I rewrite this letter? And he says, yeah, no problem. So I rewrote the letter. Dan rang me 9:05 the next day. And he said, Bill, out of all the letters I've written to the Prime Minister, to anyone, he said, I've never got a response. He said, Helen Clark is meeting me in the airport at 12 o'clock today. He said, that's the first time I've had a response to a letter. The thing was, he didn't take me with him, so he fell flat. He didn't know what I'd written. Princip. Kia ora, bro. And fell flat on his face. So, anyway. Are you sworn to uphold statute? They swear on that book to uphold statute.
Sorry, Bill, me again. Are we assuming?
Hi, mate.
Are we assuming that this is written communication, not verbal?
If anyone picks up the phone and starts talking to these agents on the phone, you'll automatically have a contract. But I'm pleased you brought that up, me. Oh, yeah, no, it's okay, me. Sometimes when you do things, you'll get a phone call. What is that? For those in the back seats, you won't be able to read that. Tough. Should have got here early. That's the recontract. The moment they pick up the phone and call you, they're trying to recontract you. So thank you, me. That was real good question, even though it was wrong in the sense. But the recontract. So what should you do the moment someone calls you? Yes! You should, yes! Gotcha, you bastard. Okay? I feel a recontract coming on. So, all you need to do is say, and especially private numbers, I like them. Private numbers. The moment you hear a commissioned agent on the phone, thank you. Anything you have to say, please put it in writing in your private capacity under your full and unlimited commercial liability. I can tell you what, full and unlimited commercial liability. That is going to avoid the recontract. Sorry? That is going to avoid the recontract. Okay? Because they will never sign in their private capacity and under their full commercial liability, because they're not hiding behind the office. Now, may I? Yes, you may. Now, you're going to have to share that with the whole group, so...
I've been writing to the bank for 3 years that I am the real party in the Republicans. They did actually win.
It's a recontract.
Now what they've done is they've emailed me. I haven't replied. Well, I haven't. Because now they want to meet me. And what they're taking all this documentation. So I just don't know.
So, if you don't have a paper trail...
I have got a paper trail.
Yeah. If you don't have a paper trail, when you get to court, oh, that's hearsay, Judge. That's hearsay. Everything that was done on the phone or face-to-face is hearsay. And that's why they say you can't take recordings in. Everything must be done in writing under their full commercial liability. If it isn't done that way, and I'll give you a few clues later. Okay, so they swear on the Bible to uphold statute. So guess what? With those two questions, we have now established our status and their status. Now, as a private company, without bullying them or anything like that, we have established our status with two questions. We have boxed them into a corner. Now all we need to do, is if they're sworn to uphold statute, we'll give them the statute that they must uphold. Is this becoming more and more clear to the group down here? To my groupies over here? Did we sign a contract with you? We didn't. So they're coming in as opportunists. So what's the presumption? We don't know our rights. We don't know our wrongs either. Just as a little aside, just totally unrelated. Totally unrelated. On Wednesday night, I was out at dinner, and I came down with COVID. This is real. My throat felt like razor blades. My head was aching. My ear was aching. And I felt like shit. I went home, climbed into took it about 3 or 4 times on Thursday. I'm just going to sit down for a minute. Took it about 3 or 4 times on Thursday. Friday, I was back to my same cheeky self. So, do you all know what CDS is? Okay. Pay me, I was... Okay. I told you you're going to have to pay. Oh. Chlorine dioxide solution. And those of you, I love it when people immediately go online and start looking, because I told you, don't believe a fucking word I say. Brilliant. It's magic. All I did was 3 drops in a glass of water, and you can't use tap water. You've got to use distilled water. For those who actually want to hear good health advice, thank you. 3 drops in a glass of distilled water. You can't have anything for an hour before and an hour after. To me, it's no problem because I've done fasting and that sort of thing, so I haven't had breakfast. I might have 1 or 2 meals today, if I'm lucky. But it's actually quite amazing how it's made. It's Donald Trump gave it away a few years ago. Guys, there's people here who want to hear this, okay? Donald Trump gave it away. It's drain cleaner. But what you do is you put a little shot glass full of distilled water into a container with a screw top lid, and you put the chlorine dioxide in the water around it, and the fumes go into the shot glass with the distilled water, and it infuses the water with the fumes of the chlorine dioxide. And I'll tell you what, I've never... If you've heard of Miracle Mineral Solution, it's the same thing but better. You don't have the horrible taste, and it's more effective because it's a gas. And unlike a dog yesterday, far out. Talk about, just as well you didn't bring the dog today, mate. That dog would clear the room, I tell you. I'm not kidding, am I? No, poor old Ruby, my God. Cleared the room. We're serious discussion next week. Anyway.
You know, your actual body actually produces small amounts when we combat cancer. They've discovered this small amounts for cancer treatment. The body actually produces it.
Yep. Okay, so the chlorine dioxide as a gas, once you take it, it's the gas that goes, so it goes straight through everything. It kills all the parasites, everything. Yeah, you can do hydrogen peroxide with nebulizer. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So do you drink it or inhale it?
No, you drink it, but the gas goes through. Yeah. And you don't need much. Okay, so the final question, you don't need all these, but I'm showing you, is to establish your status. This is what you can do. Are you receiving a commission? Mate. Under Section 5 of the Secret Commissions Act, they cannot disclose this to you, or they're going to pierce the corporate veil. Now, if you pierce the corporate veil, the whole system is exposed, and that's what Toto did in The Wizard of Oz. So have you all looked up what Toto means? Just like Finding Nemo. Do you all know what Nemo? Nobody. Nemo means nobody. So if someone asks you your name, you can quite legitimately answer Nemo. They give you all the clues, but you guys are so busy with sex and drugs and rock and roll. Leave it all to me.
Well, the constables know about Nemo.
Yeah, the constables know that. So here we go. Secret Commissions Act. Look how old this act is. Now, like I said, they don't not give you full disclosure. They give you full disclosure for everything. Okay, so they're telling you it's only an act, and only actors act. So the agents are coming in as actors. And they say, this act empowers me. And I said, well, my Weet-Bix empowers me.